We're about to enter an extremely unprecedented time in the UK jobs market. A storm is coming and the winds have already started to pick up. So if you're between the ages of 21 to 44 and you're taking a salary, then you need to hear this. Both blue collar and white collar jobs will be impacted. You need to know what's happening, why it's happening, and most importantly, how do you take advantage of this situation? The results could be a significant increase to your salary, which you have never seen before, and you will likely never see again. Let's get into it. What is happening? Well, there is an extreme pressure on the jobs market and it's close to snapping. It's natural for the labour markets to both dance in and out of having either too many or too few vacancies. But due to several factors, it's created a mammoth imbalance in the number of job vacancies at the moment, which currently stands at 1.1 million across the country, which for context is 2.5 times higher than it was just 10 years ago. This is by far the worst it's been in a lifetime, and numbers like these haven't been seen since the 1970s. If you've watched any news over the last 12 months, you'll be well versed on the fact that we have a major driver shortage in the UK. This is likely the most extreme example we have in the jobs market, but don't be fooled into thinking that this is the only labour challenge we have. It's now absolutely everywhere, from blue collar workers, so everything from healthcare to hospitality, retail to real estate, but it's also now affecting white collar roles, especially in IT and sales, where it's actually spread as far as finance, marketing, and even law professionals. So unless you happen to be in the beauty and wellness industry and live in London, then you're in the middle of it and you have the opportunity of a lifetime. But why should you care about any of this? Well, the last time this happened in the jobs market, the average wage jumped by 10% in a single year. But this is an average. There have been the ones that took advantage and there have been the ones that watched the opportunity just float on by. To make matters even worse, we are seeing the highest levels of demand for UK products and services since the 1990s. With people cooped up at home during the pandemic, they are yearning to get out there and spend their money and enjoy themselves. And in response, businesses are going to extreme lengths to cash in on this demand. If you enter Vacancies UK into search, the first result at the top of the page is an advert from Amazon offering a sign-up bonus of £1,500 for working in their Port Talbot warehouse. It stinks of desperation. But the real question is, why? Why is there too much cash chasing too few people? Well, it's made up of a deadly cocktail of 5 factors. The first is good old Brexit. Remember when we told those immigrants we wanted British jobs for British workers?
And they're taking our jobs.
Yeah.
And they took your teeth as well.
Yeah, they did.
Well, it's a tad awkward as we kind of need these workers back and they're not really looking to return either. As one, it's harder to work here, and two, sterling has actually dropped so much in value that any money that they might have sent home to their family just isn't worth as much anymore. So if immigrants didn't take your teeth, then feel free to like this video. The next are consequences due to our fiscal response to COVID. The first of these two is low interest rates, which is creating significant demand. Debt in the form of borrowing has never been cheaper. If you want to buy something and you don't have the money yet, just put it on a credit card. On the flip side, it has screwed savers. There is no longer any incentive to save money, as in reality, it's just going to lose purchasing power due to inflation. You may as well spend it. The second is repercussions from the government supporting the economy with freshly printed money. To best describe this issue, I'm shamelessly going to steal a metaphor used by a behavioural economist that I managed to see recently called Roger Martin Fagg. Imagine you have a hose pipe and in one end you're shoving the freshly printed money in one end and trying to make it come out the other side into the economy. It takes some time for it to travel through the pipe, but eventually it will come out the other side. Well, COVID in this scenario has stepped on the middle of this pipe, preventing much of it flowing to reach the other side. Well, the foot was lifted earlier this year and that wave of money is quickly travelling down the remaining stretch of the hose pipe. We can see it coming as we are seeing significant increase in pricing all around the market, from the housing market to food and power. And what happens after these inflation increases happen? Wages follow. The last two factors are more long-term macro trends. The first is that young people are staying in education for longer, which has been an ever-increasing trend as going to university has become more and more viable for a larger number of youngsters. The government has been keener than ever to give students vast quantities of debt to fund their future education, but this has only been made worse by the pandemic. Knowing you've got several more years of education seems to be a far safer bet than jumping into the jobs market during a pandemic. The result is that only 11% of young people are available to work compared to 17% 10 years ago. The last factor is one which you know I'm passionate about. We have a declining population and the number of people joining the workforce is barely outstripping those that are retiring. Just look at this population pyramid of the UK. You can see that we have roughly 6% of the population between the ages of 20 to 24, so those who are entering the workforce, which isn't too bad considering we've got 5.7% of people between 60 and 64 who are likely going to start retiring. But then consider that the market has been used to either 6.7% or 7% of workers joining the markets every 5 years. The pool of incoming new talent is getting smaller and smaller, and this is set to get even worse over the following 5 years. Based on all these factors, it's created an environment where businesses are desperate for good people to join them. The power has never been so much in favour of the employee rather than the employer. And with this power, obviously employees can demand more money. We're not talking about inflation levels of increases of 2 to 3%. We're talking 10, 15, 20% and maybe more. But it doesn't have to be money though. It could be working conditions like flexible working, flexible hours, or increased benefits. It could even be that you want different job experiences. Everything is on the table as they'll do pretty much anything to get you on board. However, the onus is on you to flex this power. If you sit there and do nothing and expect something to happen, then nothing will happen. The greatest opportunity of a lifetime will pass you by. So how do you flex this power? You have two options. You either move jobs and look for something better, or you stay put and be a little bit more demanding where you are already. But to get the maximum impact, this needs to be done in the right way. Done in the wrong way, and it could be far more damaging than anything else. But if you do want to maximise the opportunity, then you do need to be looking to move jobs instead. And there are a lot of reasons why moving is a better course of action rather than staying with the same business. The main reason is that your current business are anchored to your current value, just like how you are if you think about it. Say an increase to your subscription on Netflix or maybe your energy bill going up. It's frustrating because you're paying more money for exactly the same thing. And this is also how businesses think. And even if they do it looking at moving your salary, they will always look at a percentage-based increase, which of course ties you to your existing salary. And the majority of businesses will have an internal limit on how much they can move a salary by. You'd be lucky to get anything above 5%, which in this environment is just inflation. And as another example, it might not be salary. Say it's more flexible working. The problem with this is you might be asking something that falls outside of their existing policy. So your very small request of flexible working to them might be opening the floodgates to everybody else in the business, which would be a large factor in them saying probably no to your request. Based on these factors, moving is your best option. You'll have options for companies which already offer flexible working maybe, and haven't anchored you to a salary. They will already have a budget in mind and they'll just be looking for something that falls within that budget with the right skills. It won't be a percentage increase on what you're already paid. So where do you start? Well, luckily for you, recruitment agencies are bigger than ever as it's really lucrative for the recruiter and it's obviously a massive pain for businesses to recruit themselves. Recruiters are your friend. They're incentivized to bring you a job that you want. If they get you placed in that job and you stay for a certain length, which is usually 6 months, they get paid handsomely. Normally 15% of your new salary. So what you need to do is recruit a group of recruiters to be working on your behalf every day. So all you need to do is to reach out to some recruiters to start working on your behalf. And your only job is to keep yourself front of mind with what sort of role you're looking for and then having an up-to-date CV. All you need to do then is let the roles come into you. You will likely be rusty when it comes to interviewing, so it's better to edge on the side of just going for it, even if you sat on the fence, rather than being overly cautious in thinking if the role is right for you. Just because you interview doesn't mean you have to accept it. If they do ask about your current salary in the interview, then avoid giving this information away. But if you do cave to the pressure, then it's worth being a little bit creative with the information. It's far better being expensive than coming cheap. It's worth noting that research shows that your value to a business generally increases up to the age of 44 or 40 for the ladies. After this point, the market starts to see you as potentially outdated and behind the times. So if you do happen to be older than these ages, then finding a salary increase might be challenging. If you happen to be 5 or 10 years off these ages, then you might be more keen to take advantage of the time right now, as your time of being highly valuable in the market is starting to run out. But not everyone wants to move, I get it. You're close to work, you like your boss or you like your colleagues, it's easy, yada yada yada. Cool, I'm absolutely pumped for you, but remember, you're choosing this over earning more money. But there are still opportunities for you in this market. Of course, you can ask your employer for more money, but I would stress that you should do some solid research on how to ask before you do so. If your rationale is pay me more money or I will leave, the vast majority of businesses or line managers will tell you to walk, more out of pride than anything else. But in my opinion, this opportunity of moving internally is best for either moving up the business or across the current business. Remember, the business that you are currently working for is having the same issues as the wider industry. This means they might be more willing than normal to take risk on somebody internally who might not necessarily have all the skills they'd really want. But due to your previous performance, they might be willing to take a bit more of a gamble on you than normal. This is actually how I got my big break at 24 in my first management role. I was massively underqualified, but I was willing to relocate for the job and take a lower salary than they were currently offering for this opportunity. So it was far easier for them to say yes, as they were struggling to find somebody externally to fill this role. I would implore you to look at these opportunities. Yes, you might be underpaid compared to that role in the market, but once you have 1 to 2 years experience, you can cash this in as it'll be on your CV forever. It doesn't have to be jumps up though. There might be opportunities to move sideways. Have you always wanted to get into sales instead of marketing, finance instead of operations? Well, this might be your chance. Similar to moving up, your business is having issues recruiting for these roles, and it's far more likely they'll say yes now under the current circumstances. I truly believe there is something for everybody in this marketplace. The next 18 months will be divided between those who actually decided to act and those who decided to take the easy route. If you take the former, then your great decision will compound over the rest of your lifetime, meaning that extra £5,000 you manage to get in your salary each year could actually be worth hundreds of thousands of pounds across your lifetime. Let me know in the comments below if you think you will or will not take advantage of this situation and why. Small decisions can make a huge impact. If you're looking for other ways to potentially explode your income outside of the 9 to 5, then you'll want to check out this video on the screen right now. You can thank me later. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.